US accused Russia of planning a staged attack to justify invading Ukraine, saying, if anyone knows about this stuff, it's us.
Putin is not backing down. In fact, he is going on the offensive. So Joe Biden is doing the same. He is sending 3,000 US soldiers to Europe, 2,000 of them to Germany and Poland, 1,000 to Romania. France is also planning to deploy soldiers to Romania. Needless to say, Russia is livid. They have called these troop movements destructive and unjustified. Does this mean diplomacy has failed? Not yet. High-level phone calls, visits by heads of state, all of this is happening on the sidelines.
Here's what's been happening. Over the weekend, the Russians started moving blood supplies to the front. And this is significant. Russia has been setting up supply lines of all kinds, medical units, fuel, and now blood supplies, something that will be critical during war. Ukraine says this information is not true, but the West is not taking Russia's moves lightly. Look at the build-up at the border. Moscow is boosting troop levels. It has surrounded Ukraine. The Russians are stationed on all four sides of the country now. The biggest deployment is on the Russia-Ukraine border. In fact, the build-up started here. But now Russia has deployed soldiers everywhere. They're in Crimea, a region that Russia annexed in 2014. They're in Moldova. Russian forces have around 100 troops there. They're also in the north, inside Belarus, and dangerously close to the Ukrainian border. How many Russian soldiers are we talking about? One estimate says there are 106,000 ground troops and 21,000 Navy and Air Force personnel. Russia also has separatists inside Ukraine, 15,000 of them believed to be in two regions, Luhansk and Donetsk.
Everyone is now beginning to recognize that Russia has a point. The Spectator magazine this week, that well-known Bolshevik publication, has a headline, "Whisper it softly, Putin has a point." Well, of course he has a point. The Ukraine is being turned into an armed Potemkin state by the United States and by NATO. And no Russian leader could possibly allow that development to go unchecked, unanswered. Whisper it softly, says the Spectre. I don't do whispering softly, as you have already shouted, so I'm shouting it out loud.
Why is this a top Google search? A lot of people are asking whether Russia is going to invade Ukraine and what would happen if they did. Take a look at this map. Ukraine is right in between Europe and Russia. At the moment, Russia's got about 100,000 soldiers on the Ukrainian border, which does make it look like they're going to invade. But whether or not it's actually going to happen is complicated. A lot of this is about NATO, and that's a military alliance that the US and lots of European countries are a part of. Ukraine wants to join, but Russia is against that. If Ukraine joined NATO, it would shift power towards Europe, which is not what Putin wants. Russia has said that it'll move the soldiers off the border if NATO will guarantee that Ukraine will never be able to join. And that is just not a promise NATO is going to make. Invasion is a possibility, although Russia denies it. And countries like the UK and America have warned Russia against military action. Politicians are doing a lot of talking to try and make sure things don't get any worse. Follow us for updates on this story.
This is a war. Whether Russia and the US go to war, or whether, as Vanden Heuvel says, the US will take on China, this is a war between slave masters, okay? This is nothing but modern day slavery. And when the slave masters fight, you don't side with one or another master. You don't side with my master. You take advantage of the fact that they're fighting to overthrow the whole institution of slavery, to get free. And this is how we have to look at it when these imperialists fight. We're not rooting for our imperialists. We are welcoming the defeat of these modern day slave masters in whatever they undertake, okay? Because that is one step, or could be, if we do our work right, one step closer to being able to make a revolution to overthrow them altogether.
Western politicians and journalists have been saying that the invasion of Ukraine by Russia was imminent, a clear and present danger, and just seconds away. Those are the exact words. So I'll just do quick mathematics here. since they said that, 432,568 seconds have passed. That's a lot of seconds. Still no invasion. Here's the inside scoop. They tried the exact same war is imminent trick regarding Taiwan last year. Notice that that invasion also never actually happened. The papers are saying in a tone of outrage that Russia has troops at its land border. Wait a minute. Don't all countries have troops at their land borders? In today's paper, AFP reports that Russia is refusing to pull back 100,000 troops from Ukraine's borders. Ukraine's borders? The truth is that Russians are on their own soil. It's Ukraine which is receiving a build-up of weapons and troops from hostile nations outside the region. AFP is about as balanced as People's Daily.